It's time for one last mission, Spartans. It's the season finale episode of Halo the series Declassified. And as you might expect, we've got a ton to unpack. We're joined by executive producer Kiki Wolfkill and executive producer and showrunner Steven Kane. And I promise I will try my best to pry some season 2 intel out of them. Plus, we'll check in one more time with the cast. You won't want to miss it, so stick around because we're starting right now. Welcome back to Reach. My name is Sydnee Goodman, and this is Halo the series Declassified. This week is all about that jaw-dropping season finale that's going to have us all talking and speculating for months to come while we buckle in for the tough wait until season 2. Before we get going though, Cortana's got one more special message for us.
Hello, Sydnee. It is my pleasure to deliver this final spoiler warning for your viewers. Now would be the ideal time to rewatch every episode, because this is the point of no return. Best of luck, Spartans.
Thanks, Cortana. She's right. It's now or never, because executive producers Kiki Wolfkill and Steven Kane are here to answer our questions about not just the finale, but the entire season as a whole. Enough preamble. Let's get to it. I know everyone's got a lot of questions after that epic season finale, so I figured it was best to go straight to the source. Executive producer Kiki Wolfkill and showrunner Steven Kane. Kiki, Steven, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Declassified.
My God, amazing to be here. We thought we would never get asked, so we slid in. We slid in the last episode.
You got my emails, which is good, yeah.
Yeah, we got him. I'm glad we could figure something out. But wow, where to start? Maybe it's best to start at the place of how gratifying has it been to see fans react to the series, especially after, the production delays with the pandemic and just everything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it turns gratifying and terrifying. I feel like in between every episode, there was like that, okay, what are the things that they're going to really be focused on in the next episode? It's an incredible feeling that people have been responding to the show so well. I mean, honestly, after what feels like years and years and years of sort of leading up to this moment and all the sort of tension and anxiety that goes with it, it feels so good.
Silver team, on me.
Really, because we wanted people to love the show and we wanted fans to be able to see Halo in live action. And so to be able to give that to them is really incredible.
Yeah, when you're in the trenches and you're just focusing on getting that day's work done, you have no idea how it's going to look when it's done. You always keep the audience in the back of your mind. And in this case with Halo, we kept the Halo audience front and center too. Are they going to like this? Are they going to appreciate this? But you don't know until you start piecing it together whether it's going to work or not. And then you don't even know how it's going to be received until it's received. So it's been an amazing reception and very gratifying. And it's just, I think we're all really proud and relieved.
Let's get into that finale. So the Master Chief and Cortana relationship was really at the core of this finale episode. And we were left with a Cortana-controlled chief, which is just this ultimate sign of trust and really a testament to the journey of that relationship because, it didn't start the most harmonious, let's just say. So how did you go about developing the approach and new wrinkles to that relationship?
From a Halo perspective, it was such an interesting opportunity to explore the creation of Cortana and not just the moment, but also John and Master Chief meeting Cortana. And ultimately, we knew where we needed to get to was the relationship that our fans know and love and understand. And so this was just a really different way of getting there. And what was nice about it is we got to give a little more nuance to Cortana and why she was created. But at the same time, we got to see that trust relationship get built up until that last moment, which is sort of the ultimate trust moment. But the idea being, how do we come out the other side and have the relationship sort of whole in a way that we all know and love already.
And what's really fun is you can track the relationship over the course of the season. You can watch Cortana watching John, learning from him, reacting, changing, seeing the way Halsey's talking about him. And you can see that moment when she kind of says, wait a minute, I think there's something to John that needs to be protected. So I think it's a great relationship we're forming.
Could have knocked me out, handed me over to Halsey.
Why didn't you?
Because I was also designed to learn, John. And I have. From you.
We mentioned Halsey, which, wow, perhaps my favorite character to see develop this entire season. She's just so nuanced and complicated. And it's interesting that at the end of the day, speaking of complicated, Halsey and the Covenant have very similar aspirations for the artifact. Do you think that Halsey recognizes that? And if she does she even care?
I think the thing that they share is the sort of ends justify the means mentality, right? And so their intentions are different, but their way of going about them is very much the same, which is sort of scorched earth. You know, I have a belief and I'm going to do anything I need to do in order to get there. And I think for both, yeah, they have a belief that their path is the thing that's going to save or elevate or redeem their respective species. But I think there's sort of a different belief system that sits underneath it. But at the end of the day, it is just a single focus. For the good of the future, here are the things I need to do now, which is, you know, sacrificing a lot. And for Halsey in particular, sacrificing the now completely for the future.
But for Halsey, it's more about knowledge and about the intelligence of the galaxy and trying to understand it and then harness it to improve humanity. Whereas for the prophets, it's more of a religious, you know, I can become like a god. But as McKee notices when she talks to Halsey via hologram, she kind of says, wait, you're sort of the same in many ways, you know? And I think that's what makes Halsey such an interesting character.
So Kiki, obviously you've been involved with the games themselves and I'm sure have a very unique perspective on the franchise. What was the most surreal part of bringing the story to a new medium?
I think the most surreal part was actually seeing the show on television, you know, because it has been. I mean, it's sort of been all consuming for many, many years. So I think from a process standpoint, you know, I've been so heads down on just like, how do we build this? And, you know, how do we make Steve's story come to life, and how do we make it good for fans, and how do we make it beautiful and epic and believable when we see the Halo universe on the screens. I don't think it was until episode 1 actually aired, even though we did some screenings, that I was able to actually kind of disassociate myself from being involved and just sort of watch it objectively. And that was really emotional.
Steven, some of your other work in TV has been in the military space. So how did those experiences help you when taking on a project like Halo?
It helped a lot to have that military background. I spent 5 years working closely with the Navy and the Marines, and also shooting a show with a lot of epic scale, and not as big as Halo, but, you know, a lot of the same filmmaking processes. So that kind of prepared me for this. But, you know, we had great military advisors, of course, who helped us with everything, training extras and training people to handle a gun right. And what's great about Halo is the UNSC is sort of based on the United States Navy in terms of its protocol and etiquettes and ranks and whatnot. Being in the mindset of having done a military show and a military show with scale, I think prepared me for this, because ultimately you want the audience to feel the same when they look at alien ships and alien creatures as they do when they look at, you know, 20th century enemies. So that, because if you ground it, then it feels real. It doesn't feel corny or cartoonish. Then there's also getting the culture right and the ethos right, which is the more invisible stuff, but that stuff you feel in your gut unconsciously. And so that translated into the military stuff as well, is just sort of recognizing that you can get that ultimately a soldier is a soldier in whatever century they're living, and their lives are just as scary and deadly, and they rely on each other just as much, and honor, courage, and commitment don't go out of style.
Well, and you mentioned kind of how that grounds the story so much, right? And I think that you really feel it, because it is those interactions that I think, as somebody who's played the games, you maybe don't see the day-to-day of the soldiers in the background or the soldiers that are fighting with, you know, the chief that you're playing. But when you're watching the show, it's such an integral part of understanding and building this universe. And I think you pulled it off, in case you needed me to let you know.
Thank you.
Which I don't think you did.
I'm glad we got a chance to show some really good battles, like in 5 and in 9 especially, and in 1, where we got to see, you know, the real face of war. You saw the Marines getting, you know, torn apart. You saw the brotherhood and sisterhood and the way they fought together, and you saw how it translated to Chief and Kai. You know, Kai protecting Marines the best she could, and then Chief protecting Kai, even at the temporary cost of the mission. So yeah, I mean, at its heart, in many ways, it's a war story. We were trying to do a lot more than that in the first season, but yeah, it's a war story, and unfortunately, war doesn't change much. We had one little shout out where Kai says that she's been studying every war theorist from Sun Tzu to Preston Cole. So Sun Tzu, of course, is a real military theorist, and Preston Cole is canonical Halo. So we mixed our worlds nicely, I think. But they all have the same objective as win a war.
And for each of you, speaking of objectives, the objective ultimately being to put out an incredible first season of this show. Which moment from season 1, whether it happened on screen or behind the scenes, stands out as you're being most proud of?
This is super broad, but really the opportunity to introduce Halo to sort of our extended family, right? And by that, I mean, I've been a diehard Halo fan since the very beginning. And I have now been able to share it with people who have not been Halo fans. And they see the universe and they understand it, and they love a lot of the same things that I love about the universe, understanding that there's a whole nother piece of that exists in the games and in the books and all of that. Like, that is something that I feel a lot of pride in, because I feel like sometimes the universe can feel so inaccessible. And so being able to sort of allow another entry point, I'm proud of. And I'm also super psyched that I don't know how many people know, although I think we announced it not long ago, that Kira Delia from 2001: A Space Odyssey is in the show. And so I kind of feel like what a validation of like sci-fi history and world coming together. And so I have no reason to take any pride in that, but I take pride as a member of the Halo family that he was part of Halo.
I think I'm really proud that we were able to throw all these balls in the air and have them come down and land in a really satisfying finale that both puts a cap on the first season, but also launches us into a future season, but in a very satisfying way. And I think it just shows you how much more story there is to tell. I was particularly gratified to watch the relationships develop, to watch Cortana and John's relationship, to watch how Cortana changed over the course of the season. I'm really just mostly proud of the 1,000 people we worked with across 3 continents, people from all over the world who came together to make this one show. And, when you have a show that's complicated, it's easy to have everyone making a different show. And so, to get them all together and get them all to sort of charge that hill together and sacrifice so much of their lives, especially during pandemic times, and to see it come together in a beautiful, powerful finale, just it's why I do it, why I do this. It's just so gratifying, and I'm so grateful to everybody involved.
We say in Halo that heroes are born of sacrifice, and I think that can absolutely be said of our entire crew.
You knew this question was going to come, which is, what can we expect from season 2? Anything that you can tell us, anything that diehard Halo fans in particular should get prepared for, any little nuggets?
I mean, what I can say is one of the things I loved about season 1 is we were able, like every episode, we got to bring something, else from the Halo universe into the show, right? So you had people at episode 1 complaining about, oh, we want to see this, we want to see that. And it just it was so much fun for like, okay, we're going to reveal this thing in episode 2. We're going to show this thing in episode 5, and sort of build sort of the library of cool Halo ingredients. So all I can really tease at this point is we're absolutely continuing to do that. And I will say, as is always the case with fan theories around anything, but Halo as well, there's a few out there that aren't far off.
As a fan, I have to say the little Halo tease universe Easter egg in the finale, although I feel like there were several, but when the ship is going down.
You'll need to steer along the critical point between cosmic string segments where the fields are at equilibrium.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's the first time that we hear kind of that vehicle shields down sound at that point. And I just felt this adrenaline rush from, you know, all of my experiences playing the games, and you hear that and you're just ready for action. So I was so excited to see that show up in the show. Thank you both for your time. And again, congratulations on an incredible first season.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks, Sid.
I must admit, I'm very intrigued to see your reaction to this next segment. Starting data stream now.
I'm going to keep it real quick. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to tell you all how really grateful I am for all the hard work. Man, this has been such an epic journey. Through the pandemic, through all that we faced, looking up and seeing you guys working as hard as you have, and everybody coming to work every single day and bringing their A game and trying to make this thing as good as it can be. Everybody contributing as much as they did, and I really, 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 really appreciate the hard work, and I'm so proud of what we've done, and really grateful to all of you for working so hard. So thank you for all your hard work and the time away from family and all of the things that everybody sacrificed this year. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you all soon.
It feels incredible to be working on this show, and it's just been fantastic. It's been a wild ride, actually, so far.
You know what? It has been, I would say 2 words. It has been rewarding and extremely professional at a very high level.
Doesn't have to end this way, Chief.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when I arrived how many people are involved. It's insane. I haven't been on anything as humongous as this.
All right, stand by for rehearsal, please. You're going to start behind the camera here, I believe.
The thing I'm most excited about sharing with the viewers is just the final end result of all this work with all these amazing and talented people, and all the blood, sweat, tears, and mud that have gone into, you know, bringing this to life.
On me!
It hasn't been easy, but I think it's definitely been worth it.
The amount of people that are involved behind the scenes is immense. Everybody is so valuable.
For me, this show is like an iceberg. I'm seeing, 2% of really what has gone into this. And there are so many different teams taking part in what we see in a moment's time.
Perfect.
Any of the teams that I've been a part of or, touched base with so far, just hundreds and hundreds of people to get us to the set. It's epic.
There's people who have been on the show even longer than me. There's people who have been in Budapest on the ground, building costumes, building sets since early 2018.
This is definitely the biggest show I've ever worked on. Even when I was an assistant, never worked on the scale of such. On the costume department, it's a big crew. It can be 20, 30 people, so it's pretty big. Yes, it's a big show, and I'm learning how to manage that.
I actually can't explain how excited and grateful I am. It's just been the best experience of my life.
Ready? And now! Now!
The cast and crew have just been so lovely and kind. It's almost like we're like a little family in such a quick period of time, and it's just, it fills my heart with joy.
You see what these people actually do, you're like, oh wow, okay, This would never would happen without the second AD.
Let's roll sound, please. Keep camera speed.
This would never have happened without the grips. It never would happen without the gaffers.
Even out the ceiling light in the top bay, in the back bay.
I'm just amazed at what the crew has been able to do. It's the craftsmanship and the attention to detail and the respect and caring of expressing this world.
That is a wrap, wrap, wrap.
Thank you, everyone, for being in the trenches together with us all. Woo. So thank you. I love you guys. You have done extraordinary work. We couldn't ask for a better group of people to go into battle with. So thank you.
Well done, guys.
I would be remiss if I didn't make sure to upload this next transmission for all of you to see. I think you'll enjoy this one. Starting data stream now.
I'm Riana Manuel-Peña, brand director at G4 TV, and I'm joined by my lovely panelists here. First, we have Dani Peña, founder and co-host at Gamertag Radio, as well as the games editorial lead at G4. And we have Parris Lilly, the co-host of Gamertag Radio and Kinda Funny Xcast. And last but definitely not least, Stella Chung, video producer, host, and editor at IGN. Welcome, everybody. The series starts with a whole new character, Kwan Ha, and everything going on with her and Planet Madrigal, and them, of course, falling under attack. So, Stella, I'm interested to hear from you.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel they did in introducing this brand new character?
First of all, as a South Korean woman, I am very happy to see that representation. I wasn't actually entirely sure that she was Korean, but as soon as I heard her speaking to her dad, I was like, oh my God, So because English is actually not my first language. So I grew up learning Korean first. So hearing that, I was like, wait, that's not English I'm hearing. That's actually Korean. And I was like, I don't need subtitles. This is amazing. It felt really good because you don't get to see that in a lot of Western media, right? So for me, seeing that, I was like, oh, I'm instantly invested in her character and seeing her growing into herself. There are a lot of, I think, generational struggles that you did kind of see with her character, which was really cool because I've definitely gone through that. So it was really interesting to see her take such an important role. And I'm really curious to see where she'll go because I'm very invested now. She's one of my favorite characters, totally not biased or anything.
I think that's another great thing that they did starting off the show in the pilot is giving us a different perspective with that character. And again, we talk about the diversity of it and just seeing the non-UNSC, non-covenant point of view of this world. And to almost by the end of that episode, I go, is UNSC not the good guys? I've always thought they were the good guys. Maybe they're not. And seeing it through her eyes that way made so much sense to me. I really enjoyed that. And I think as we talk about diversity and inclusion and this universe that Halo is, that's the perspective that I really liked, that we're getting a different point of view than we got from the games, where everything is through that filter of you're Master Chief, you're the hero. Here's a different perspective. Here are people that do not trust the UNSC, that obviously the Covenant is a threat. And when we translate that into the world that we live in today, I could relate to that because being an African American, being a person of color in this world, you don't necessarily trust everything that you see on the surface, right? You're going to have doubt. You're not going to take things at face value. And that's what we got from that first episode. And I thought it was great.
And to that too, I felt it, when she was talking to her dad, even on episode 7, seeing different generations from her family, that was a very powerful moment for me. That stood out the most, I think, in the series for me.
all of the moments between Kwan Han when she addresses her dad as Oppa, like I can feel what that means to her and what diversity and representation, even in an alternate universe and science fiction, can do for us as viewers, as people consuming these forms of entertainment. I'd be interested to hear from you, Parris, from you, Danny. Like, what does that representation mean for you in sci-fi in general, whenever you're watching something that's in a fictional world?
Oh, it's extremely important to me to be able to see someone that looks like me on the screen. And like, I'm a huge nerd. I love sci-fi, you know, obviously goes back to things like Star Trek and all that. But having that in Halo and seeing so many diverse cultures and races coming together for a common goal is great. And like I said, to see someone like myself be represented in that vein as well is very important. So I, again, take it back to the pilot episode and to just see the diversity that they showed in that group of people. And even on the UNSC side, to see the Admiral, who clearly is of a Indian/Pakistani descent, be a leader, to be in charge, to be the person making the tough decisions. Obviously, we talk about Miranda and Captain Keyes being African-American and being in those positions that they are. Well, extremely important. I mean, you know, so yeah, I absolutely love that. I do think they really nailed that representation in the series.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, as a Latino, we get frustrated when we get to see, you know, the same drug dealers, you know,
Right.
maids and
Right.
everything. It's frustrating seeing that, you know, growing up, you know, I've always been a geek. I've always been into like TV and gaming. And to see that, that's powerful. That's going to influence and inspire a lot of people to get into acting and even into gaming too. And not only that, we also got to talk about the production crew behind the scenes too, people that we don't see on camera, that also different races too. I think that's very, very important.
I will also give another shout out. Thank you, Parris, for mentioning Miranda Keyes' character. I love seeing a Black woman represented on screen who is not a tower of strength, who is not 100% sure of every move she's making. She has doubts. She's a fully complex individual. And I know that's a stereotype that's often placed upon Black women. And it's just wonderful to see her represented as such a real human and somebody who has so many different emotions, different relationships with her parents, and is completely new to this audience in this portrayal. And I'm very excited to see how her character develops. And obviously Kwan Ha is just number one. Like she is incredible.
All the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. So some really great representations of the Admiral as well, like lots of women of color and very diverse in the way that they are portrayed in addition to their ethnicities.
Can I say something real quick? We haven't mentioned too. There's more women main characters in this series more than anything too. I think that's very, very powerful too. You gotta mention that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that. And Danny, thank you for mentioning the folks behind the camera as well, because there's lots of people who come together to make something as amazing as a video game or a television show. So as we sort of bring this conversation to a close, I'd love to know from everyone, any final thoughts on what they see in the future of Halo, the games, the actual TV series, and different representation examples that have really impressed you and what you hope to see them lean into even more. Obviously, Kwan Ha is at the top of our list.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like I said, I keep going back to the language thing, but I think it was 6 or 7. We did see Kwan Ha kind of open up these scrolls, right? And it was like ancient text. The way that it was written was actually done properly. This is really cool. Clearly, they did their research, and it makes me really happy to see that level of effort being put in. So as long as that quality of care is put into these characters that we obviously want to see holding up our representation, as long as that quality stays, I think I'll be happy. We were talking about how people behind the screens also with production help a lot. Like a small discussion goes a long way, just helping educate and helping people learn how best to present these things.
You know, looking at the numbers of like how many people are actually watching the show, and it's a huge success. And I hope we're gonna get to see more of, you know, people of color in the show in the future too. And also for the team, the writers especially, you know, get feedback from the fans of Halo, you know, through social media.
I would say, because I want to make sure we don't forget this when we talk about just diversity and inclusion, bring it back to Soren again and his family. I have a biracial family. And I think to see that being represented on screen is very important, because I think that, again, is a representation of the real world versus, what people, may assume. There's obviously a lot of biracial families out there. So to see him be a good father, be a protector of his family, I think is very important. So I would love to see that explored more. It would be interesting to see if the show integrates more in with Halo Infinite, the current version of the video game, as well as just some of the other lore elements that we've seen throughout the books. It has been good to see Halo on screen, and to see that we know we're at least going to get another season of it, and hopefully we're going to get a lot more of those, because I think there's so many stories that can be told in this universe. And I think, again, when we bring diversity and inclusion into this, to just see the variety of cultures and dialects and races that can be involved in this world and be represented on screen, I think is very important. So excited for it, for sure.
So that was our discussion on diversity and representation in the Halo series. I am Riana Manuel-Peña, and thank you to my panelists here, Danny, Parris, and Stella, for this wonderful conversation. And let's keep this going. Let's keep these dialogues open, keep representation moving forward, and get excited for season 2.
It's been such a pleasure watching this cast bring the world of Halo to life right in front of our eyes. It's hard to express how satisfying it is to see their work come to fruition, but I think it's important to know that they're just as grateful to us as we are to them. Roll the thing.
I just think the fan appreciation for Halo is exceptional.
And seeing just the energy of the shared love for this universe and shared love for these characters.
But also it makes you feel again the responsibility. As a director for 2 episodes, you have the responsibility to respect this world.
Everyone is very aware that without the fans, none of this would be here.
Thank you so much for supporting our show, Halo.
Big thanks to all the Halo fans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Halo fans. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much to all of the Halo fans throughout the years, and to the new Halo fans, welcome.
It's been an honor to play Miranda and to be a part of the wonderful Halo universe. So thank you.
Thank you so much for all your support. We hope you really enjoyed the show.
A very heartfelt thank you to all of the Halo fans out there who have patiently waited for the show to come out, and we can't wait to bring you more.
This was made with love for you guys, so thanks again.
Thank you so much for being there with us.
It seems there's one final transmission that Sydnee would like you all to see. I admit it's got me smiling from ear to ear. Well, it would be if I had a physical self. You know what I mean. Enjoy.
They're wolves. Back from the hunt.
Out there, beyond the safety of these walls, sometimes you have to fight on your own. When the only one who has your back is you.
Welcome to the Lone Wolves. King of the Hill. Enemy team took the hill. Double kill. Last Spartan standing. Spartan eliminated. Danger zone incoming. Showdown. Flag capture.
always have room for another wolf.
Play it now with Game Pass.
It pains me to say it, but that is a wrap on season 1 of Halo the series Declassified. It's been an honor to be here each and every week talking about this franchise and these characters we all love so much. As a lifelong fan of Halo, it truly has meant so much to be a part of things. Thank you to all of our guests throughout the season and to Kiki Wolfkill and Steven Kane for joining us today. It's going to be the most difficult mission yet waiting for season 2. But if Master Chief has taught me anything, it's that any objective, no matter how seemingly impossible, can be accomplished. And of course, thanks to all of you for joining us every week here on Halo the series Declassified.
Sorry to interrupt, Sydnee.
Cortana, I was hoping I'd hear from you one last time.
I just wanted to say how enjoyable it is to be your co-host.
Co-host?
While my primary directive will always be to assist the Master Chief in his mission to save humanity, I hope you'll continue to consider me for any future co-hosting opportunities.
Of course, Cortana. It has been a pleasure working with you.
The feeling is mutual, I think. Uh-oh, looks like we're being called into action. So long, Sydnee. Ending transmission.
One last time, Cortana, everybody. As I was saying, thanks to all of you for watching. It's truly been an honor. Signing off from Reach, I'm Sydnee Goodman. We'll see you next season, Spartans.